baseball Lions are off to another strong start here in 2018, as this program has certainly become a program of excellence. As under head coach Matt Reiser, the Lions have a couple of Southland Conference championships and have been participants in the NCAA tournament 3 out of the last 4 years. The names change, but the expectations stay the same, and it has been no different this year. Through 17 games, the Lions have already knocked off in-state contenders LSU, ULL, and Tulane here on the young season, and have a couple of monster matchups in the near future. So buckle up, Lion fans. It looks like another fun spring in Hammond. Good evening, Lion fans. I'm Alan Waddell, and I want to welcome you to the Matt Reiser Radio Show presented by North Oaks Health System, live from our home, Buddy's Bar and Grill, right here in Hammond. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you may be tonight, whether on the Lions Radio Network or watching the archive on Facebook. We'll be with you until 8 o'clock. Over the next hour, we'll get Coach Reiser's thoughts on the early part of the season and look ahead to this week's slate of games. But first, let's take a break. When we come back, I'll be joined by the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Matt Reiser. The Matt Reiser Radio Show is presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom
and being engaged with service,
family, passion,
integrity,
overcoming adversity,
hard work and dedication,
bettering people around you,
striving for excellence,
leadership and competition
on our campuses
and in our communities.
We are Southland Strong.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student-athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student-athlete.
All right, welcome back here to Buddy's Bar and Grill. This is the Matt Reiser Radio Show, as it's Matt's first show of the season. We had been doing Coach Ladner's show on Monday nights, but now it has turned the page as Lion basketball is going to continue their season as they take on St. Mary's in the NIT tomorrow night. Over on the road. The game will be televised on ESPNU. But as far as our coaches' shows go, we have turned the page, and now we are on to baseball, as it's the Boys of Spring's time. And I want to welcome to the show the reason you're listening here tonight, the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions, Coach Matt Reiser. And, Coach, thanks for being here. This is the latest we've got together because of basketball's success, and certainly we want to congratulate them on the kind of year they've had. But now it's your time to be certainly in the spotlight.
Yeah, and I am. We got to back up some of the show a little bit to next week. I think obviously Coach Ladder's going to get plenty of pub tonight on
no
this.
doubt.
But, no, just want to congratulate those guys, man. What a fantastic season they've had. And just so proud of those young men. And to be a part of that athletic program there at Southeastern, to do what they've done, to lose a player there at the end of the year to injury and still go on and win the conference championship, to give Stephen F. the run that they did there at the end. You look at halftime, they're down by 10. They come up down to the last possession against a really good Stephen F. Austin ball club. Just so proud of what they've accomplished. Had a historical year, and big shout out to obviously Coach Ladner and his staff, but also his players as well. Just commend those guys on a fantastic season.
Well, Matt, you're coming off of another strong season in 2017. We're an NCAA participant once again, the only non-Power 5 team in the entire country to be at-large selected twice, 2 years in a row. Your team has done that. You've certainly made a national brand here at Southeastern that when people pick up the box score and they see Southeastern Louisiana, they know this is a strong program. You're off to a good start here already, 11-6 overall. I mentioned in the Open, already have wins over LSU. You have wins over ULL. You have a win against Tulane, have another top 25 win against UConn. Another comment I made earlier, the names sometimes change, but the expectations stay the same, and that's really where we're at here to start the season.
Yeah, new season, new program. As far as some players in the program, you got 17, 18 new guys that are coming in that are learning the ways. We knew that going into a position-wise. You don't have Carson Kreitz out there. You don't have Jacob Seward, Ryan Byers, Webb Bobo, Derek Mount. Guys were in that lineup on a daily basis, 3, some 4 years, that knew exactly the way we want it done and knew it to a T, where you can run a double squeeze in a regional in Baton Rouge and put it on knowing it's going to be executed. Some of those guys, position-wise, are still figuring some things out for us. They're extremely talented players. They're trying to go the right way and are going the right way about their business, but just the experience of learning how to do it. And we've had some really good wins. We've had some not so very good losses in this as well, but that's part of the preseason, before we get into conference play. And also, I thought we had a successful weekend against UNO and picked some things up last week. We won 4 out of 5 last week. And if I'm right here, I think 4 one-run wins, or 1 2-run win, and then 3 one-run wins.
And some come from behind wins in there as well.
That's it, and that's a sign of a good ball club. That's a sign of a club that's going to compete and do the things the right way. So when we get some of these kinks worked out here by the end of the season, and get some of these things cleaned up defensively, offensively, I think it's got a chance to be a really, really strong club and another club you're going to be looking at that's going to be contending for a championship and a regional at the end of the year.
Matt, let's talk a little bit about your starting rotation. I know that was one of the question marks. Max Soroller moves on. It was a high draft pick for a year ago, kind of continues that legacy. It seems like your Friday night guy has been drafted high the last few years. Mac had certainly a tremendous career here at Southeastern. He's moved on to professional baseball. You had to find somebody to try to fill that role. You've settled really. Josh Green has seemed to have been that guy that's starting on Friday night. Carlisle Kessler's off to a great start. He's pitched a couple of midweek games. He threw on the weekend this past weekend now that you've been in conference. But overall, talk about your rotation, where you feel like you're at, and where those guys are battling. I know Corey Cicconi's back.
Yep.
He pitched on the weekend for the first few weeks. Did not this past weekend. So talk about where the pitching rotation is at the moment.
Yeah, Carlisle had the experience starting. Obviously, Ciccone had the experience starting, so we wanted to kind of play with some things a little bit here early in the season. Our midweek contests are probably hard as anybody in the country. I mean, you look at South Alabama was preseason top 25. ULL was preseason top 25. Tulane's always got a good ball club. Also, LSU in the midweek. We got Purdue this week, who's 9-4, backed by number 19 Mississippi State. Southern Miss, who's number 16 in the country. So your midweek contest, it's almost going through the gauntlet there with the Power Fives and that kind of stuff. But we knew early that Carlisle had some things to prove against some really good competition. We knew, early with SIUE that nothing to take away from that ball club, but that midweek game against ULL was going to be really a momentum swinger for us here early in the season. We wanted Carlisle for that game, and obviously he pitched an absolute gem. Josh Green not having the experience as a starter, obviously kind of roll him out there for weekend number 1, see where he is. He earned the right and the opportunity to do that. He was dominant in the fall. He was dominant in the spring, and really kind of forced our hand, to be honest with you. Hey, coach, I still want to be a starter, and you saw the stuff get extended and maintained into the 5th and 6th inning there early in the springtime where the velocity was still there. He had the 3-pitch repertoire that we wanted there, so we try to give him some experience here early. Has some good, has some bad there in the first 4 starts, but also I think just knowing the competitor, knowing his leadership, and knowing who he is as an individual, he's going to continue to build off of what he's done to this point. So don't want to look at too many numbers now. Numbers can still be very skewed because it's early in the season, but I've been really proud, obviously, of those two to this point. you get Jaconi and Grenier back. Granier's been really good until this past weekend. Had a little bump in the road, and again, that's hopefully going to be the last one of it. But he was really good against Alcorn. I thought he was actually really good against the Tigers, to be honest with you. He made 2 mistakes that they made him pay for. But this is what we're going to lean on, especially early, is our starting pitching, and we've got to do a good job of getting some extended starts in there. We're getting in the 5th and 6th inning. It's not a staff where we feel like we got to get to the 9th inning because we feel like we got a lot of bullpen pieces. We've had some really nice surprises, and Jason Neaney and Jared Biddy and Peyton Lee have come in that kind of swing mode, that 4th, 5th, 6th inning, and gone 2 or 3 extended innings for us. So really feel like the centerpiece of this club is this pitching staff that we're going to have to lean on, especially here early in conference play.
I want to talk about a couple of new guys in the lineup a little bit. Some guys we've seen put up some big numbers already here early on in the year. Mike Taylor playing right field. You added Shemp. He's been DH role. He's played some first base. He's played a few different places on the diamond. Cody Gross playing second base. So a couple of new guys in there, but have come out the gates pretty strong. Yeah,
the JC route was kind of where we went there late spring. Had some things that didn't really work out from a freshman standpoint moving into the sophomore year, and so we had some pieces we had to add there late in the spring and did a good job. Coach Gipp did a good job of going out there, beating the bushes, finding the right guys. Cody Gross, I think everybody's excited about watching that young man play and doing what he did. And, boy, you talk about tough, man. He separated that shoulder Saturday night in that UNO game. Watching him get that thing reduced back in made me want to kind of vomit a little bit, and he didn't even wince at it. So I was a little bit with a weaker stomach of those two. But, also Bryce Steckler's moved into that, starting to heat up with a bat, and then moved into the outfield for us. And Mike Taylor, I think that's been the fan favorite so far. A big personality, a lot of energy. He got hurt there against Toledo last week with the ankle. We're kind of grooming him back to hopefully full strength there. Ben's done a fantastic job. Our athletic trainer's done a fantastic job of getting to that point. I probably shouldn't have rushed it this weekend. I did a little bit. Obviously, the competitor he is, he wants to go. I've got to be a little bit more of the sightseer on that to see through a little bit more and know he's not quite ready to go. So he should be back here hopefully soon. I think definitely by the weekend he'll be ready to rock and roll against Lamar. So those new guys have done a good job of kind of mixing in, but again, they're still trying to learn the ways. Mike's been really good offensively for us. He's still trying to learn the bases the way we want to run the bases. Steckler's been good for us offensively. He's got to learn how to roam center field like Jacob Seward used to roam center field.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's extremely tough to come up behind Superman there. So, I think these guys, again, they learn the way and learn the expectations on a daily basis, and we talked about that last week. We beat LSU in the midweek game there on Wednesday, and then we take the game off against Sacred Heart on Friday, and nothing to take away from that bunch, but felt like we were a better club and obviously lost that game. So when you get beat on Sunday by LSU, you go 2-2 in the week. And I told the guys, I said, look, this is expectations for you. You got to play 60 ball games, especially at this level. You don't have the fortune of being in the SEC where you can take 2 or 3 weeks off, just make a run there at the end of the year, and your RPI is going to be there. You've got to take every single game like it's the World Series because it might be the difference of you getting in or not getting in into the NCAA at large bid.
Matt, one thing I want to talk to you about quickly before we get to our next break, Taylor Schwanner obviously had an unbelievable year ago and, double-digit home runs, 70-plus RBIs, over a 300 average. Certainly was outstanding. He was Southland Conference Player of the Year. I believe that's 3 years in a row you've had the Southland Conference Player of the Year. Certainly, I know he had tons of preseason accolades, all kind of All-American teams. Out of the gate, a little slow. You look at his numbers; they're still pretty good. They're just not the pace he was at a year ago. Right. What's the conversation with that young man, and where's he at?
Yeah, and also we talked about that kind of preseason stuff. Hey, man, there's gonna be a lot of expectations. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of pressure. Just go play the game. Just go do your deal. And you're a good player. You're a good hitter. Trust that. Play with a chip on your shoulder. Play with some attitude about yourself. That they didn't take you last year in the draft, and prove these people that the same thing we all know in heart that you're the right player to be able to go play at that next level. But just go and do your deal, man. Don't put the extra added pressure on yourself. There's enough pressure in this game as it is. Just go play and have fun. And obviously everybody's very well aware who Taylor Schwanner is.
No doubt.
They're going to pitch around you a little bit. They're going to throw you some extended pitches. Don't get frustrated and give into and swinging some of those balls out the zone. I think that's a little bit of his not the same numbers like he talked about here early in the season. He swung at some pitches that he would normally take his walk. And I think he's starting to feel that security a little bit, understand that, hey, I've got guys around me that can do it too. hopefully he'll continue to start taking some of those pitches, taking those walks, and then obviously he'll start getting the pitches he wants to hit and obviously have some success with it. So he's a strong-willed young man. He'll have success. He'll continue to build his deal and continue to go for us. And to say at the end of the day, I told him, look, we've got 9. You know, I know we lost Carson. I know we lost Seward. I know we lost 5 guys in this line we're talking about. Everything feels like centerpiece around you and Drew. You 2 guys don't have to do it. We've got other pieces around you too that will help you out. You guys will go when you go, and just worry about doing you, and the other guys will go with you.
This is the first edition here in 2018 of the Matt Ronser Radio Show. We have a full hour for you. We'll be here with you all the way until 8 o'clock. So we'll be doing this each and every Monday night right here from Buddy's Bar and Grill. I want to thank Buddy's, Scott Henderson, the whole gang here for having us back once again in 2018. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll have more right here on the Matt Ronser Radio Show, presented by North Oaks Health Systems and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom.
And being engaged with service.
Family. Passion.
Integrity.
Overcoming adversity.
Hard work and dedication.
Bettering people around you.
Striving for excellence.
Leadership and competition.
On our campuses.
And in our communities.
We are Southland Strong.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
All right, welcome back here to Buddy's Bar and Grill. And this is the first edition here in 2018 of the Matt Ronser Radio Show, the head baseball coach of your Southeastern Lions. Certainly Southeastern Louisiana University has become a national brand in baseball, and a lot of that has to do with this man sitting right here to my right. Just a reminder, you can be with us every Monday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. We'll be talking Lion baseball. As you come by, have dinner here at Buddy's, have a drink, and come hang out with us and Coach Reiser. And also, the shows are filmed, and they're going to be put on Facebook. So if you're listening now, if you missed something Coach said earlier, say, hey, I can't stay tuned in right this second, you can go on Facebook later. It's under the Southeastern Louisiana University Athletics Facebook page. Mr. Colton Vickers does a great job. He puts the video together for us, and you can go back and watch it. So that will be available throughout the week.
That's
And
good
it'll
to
be
hear.
yeah,
They told me I had a face for radio.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you know, as I look back at some of the shows I've done. I've been doing this for a long time. Been looking back. I'm getting a lot older as the years go by. No doubt about it. So, Matt, let's talk a little bit about this early season a little bit. You're out of the gates. You're 11-6. Have some big wins you mentioned earlier. So some big wins to get some big name programs. Maybe a couple of losses that you say, hey, we're probably better than that team, and let those get away from us. But one of the things, whenever I saw the schedule come out this year, that was so exciting. I thought this was the best home schedule we might have ever had. I mean, it was a great home schedule, and I think that shows the commitment our university has made to baseball, the improvements at the facility, and the high-level competition you're being able to come over and play in Hammond.
Yeah, no doubt, and it's the experiments, it's the environment that we're creating. Lindsey Kramer with marketing has done a fantastic job with the interaction with the video board. Has done a fantastic job with the in-game promotion stuff. Obviously, the new LED lights have made a wow factor about the stadium now as well. And there's really no bad seat in the ballpark. I mean, you come up to the ballpark to come watch a good game, a top 25 matchup. You're going to have a good seat pretty much anywhere you sit in the entire stadium, even for the LSU game. It might be a little crowded for LSU, but you're going to have a good seat in the ballpark. And I think that's the neat part about college baseball. What you go out there and experience at the Pat is the true college baseball atmosphere that you dream of and that you envision going out and enjoying. And like you said, you got to tip your hat to those folks. Coach Ortiz, what he's done, obviously, from an administrative standpoint, but Dr. Crane and those guys who see the vision, the same vision we've talked about and discussed, and being able to make this a marquee stadium and a marquee spot to come watch a college baseball game. They've done a good job of helping us do that and encourage top 25 ball clubs like UConn, like the University of Houston, like LSU, Southern Miss, all to come to the Pat and come play in a good environment.
It certainly is awesome. The bleachers down the left field line have been removed. They have brand new bleachers on the left-hand side. They also have some new box seating down there on the left side as well. And you mentioned it earlier. And, everybody wants to talk about it in Louisiana whenever you have an opportunity to get LSU at home, and you had an opportunity to do that. Certainly a team that you're very familiar with. You've played them a lot in the postseason and the regular season the last few years. And just call it like it is. It's kind of been one of those monkeys on your back a little bit. As we've had to play those guys a lot of times. And certainly the atmosphere for that game against LSU and Hammond earlier this year, that just kind of shows you what this thing could be. And it could be like that every single night. We get great crowds. I know a year ago we averaged over 1,000 fans per game. You look at this year, I think right now we're probably averaging close to 1,400 per game. So the attendance is certainly creeping up year in and year out. But that game was awesome. And I thought the biggest point for me was that in years past when you'd go to that game, when they would come over here to Hammond, it'd be about 50% Lion fans, about 50% LSU fans. This year, I'd say it was about 90% Lion fans and a very little bit sprinkle of some purple and gold in those bleachers.
Yeah, that was neat to see. And I think that was the neat thing. One, obviously, like you say, you get the monkey off the back. So now we know we can do it. And it wasn't, I told the guys before the game, it wasn't going to be the World Series if we won the game, right? It wasn't going to be the end of the season if we lost the game. Let's keep in perspective. It is a midweek matchup, and it's an opportunity to get a good quality win, but at the end of the day, that's what it is. And but I think the neat thing about being able to do that, one, also get the monkey off our back, but two, we were able to do that in front of the home crowd, an exciting environment.
And what a way for it to end.
Yeah, boy,
wow.
Oh boy. Yeah, we make things interesting.
No doubt about it.
That's one thing we have. This bunch has shown we like to make things interesting. I don't think we've had more than a two-run ball game and besides the UNO game Saturday night in about 2 weeks. So they like to make it interesting. We did a good job turning the double play, getting out of it. But to be able to do that in front of the home crowd and come out them and show that support, and like you said, in front of a bunch of green and gold, man, I think that was the neat part about that experience.
Also, it was on television as well, so certainly the product looked great. And the other great thing was the parking garage. Parking garage, that was, I think the attendance was over 3,000, but if you add in the people that were on top of that parking garage, it was probably close to 4,000, 5,000. That was attendance for that game. It was certainly awesome for the Lions to get a victory in that one. But you talk about those guys, but a lot of other marquee matchups. I mean, UConn comes in here, they're a top 25 team, and the guy you beat on Friday night, maybe the best guy you'll see all year. He's a guy that's a potential first-round draft pick that you beat on, for UConn on Friday night.
Yeah, we got fortunate enough that their weather's not very good up there, and they're used to coming down this way now with Tulane being in the American Conference, and we were fortunate enough to get him down at our place, and obviously he saw the pictures in the facility and knew he was going to get some good cooking too, boy. That cooking club has done a good job of enticing some people to come back. Mr. Gary Sandifer's done a fantastic job of getting people that have been willing to donate their time and their efforts and their dollars to make sure those kids are well fed. And I can tell you this right now, those Northern boys definitely appreciate it. So, we were able to get down, and Tim Cate, we beat the first rounder, projected first rounder. He's a really good left-handed arm, and I'll be honest with you, that's probably one of the best staffs we're going to see the entire season. The left-hander they ran out on Saturday might be just as good, if not better, than Fioli, and then they ran a JUCO lefty at 6'7", 87, 92 on Sunday, and the bullpen didn't get any easier. They were running guys out with 95, 96. So, improving velocity is one thing, but those were guys that could pitch with that velocity as well, which is elite arms, and those are the arms we're going to have to face to win a regional and to go on the Supers in Omaha, and I thought we did a good job, obviously, there on that Friday night with Cate.
Certainly was. As I had a chance to, I sit right there behind the plate, and the UConn young men were sitting back there working the gun, and one of them looked over at me at the game and goes, "Man, this is awesome." I mean, like they really enjoyed the atmosphere down here. But Matt, a couple of early season, I guess, themes as a fan, just looking from the outside looking in. A couple of games early in the year that you lost in the ninth inning, had leads in the ninth inning. I know you're really trying to work out who's going to be the guy at the back end of the game. You look at some of the great closers we've had here. You look at Stefan Lopez, who was the national stopper of the year. We've had some other guys that have been outstanding at the back end of the bullpen. Where are you at right now with that? Again, saying earlier in the year, it seems like better of late. You've talked about a lot of really close games, but we did drop a couple early in the year where we had leads in the ninth.
Yeah, and some of it was due to defense, not even the pitching. We made the error there on Sunday against SIUE to close it out, and it was unfortunate. And almost tried to do the same thing a little bit against ULL there to close one out. But it's one of those things we knew was going to be by committee early because obviously we're moving Josh Green out of that closing role. Him and Howman both had the duty last year. So if one was fresh, we could run out, and if the other one wasn't ready to go, then we can wait till the next day or the following day to use them. So Will Warren's emerged in this as well. True freshman. Trey Schaefer has looked really, really good coming out of the bullpen. We let him actually finish the game off the other night. It was kind of one of those things. Hey man, just don't ignore the obvious. He's rolling right now in the eighth inning. Let him have the ninth inning. I know he's a true freshman, but he's handling the moment fantastic to get that series win there against UNO on Saturday night. So it's been a little bit by committee. Bryce Tassin's come in and done some things for us as well. He's got some experience at the back end. Not making where Stump has to do it all by himself. Stump's had a few issues here early getting back to his command. He's a predominantly fastball pitcher who has to have his command. And when he doesn't have his command, then he's an average arm. So he's got to get back convicted in what he's doing and believing back in what he's doing, and he will. He's a strong-willed young man, and he's the reason he's been in this program. And we have so much trust to move Josh out of the closing roles because we're so comfortable with Stump. Again, just some of that early season woes a little bit, kind of like very similar to Schwarner. Those guys are confident in what they do. They'll get back to the deal. At the end of the day, you got to remember these guys aren't robots. They're not machines. They are human. They will make mistakes, and as much as expectations are on them and as much pressure is on them, they're going to have their moments of fail. But those moments of failure are going to be the real reality of our success. That's why they were recruiting this program. That's why these other young men have been recruiting this program, because as individuals, we talk about all the time, as a coaching staff, as a team, we're going to have those moments in the year where you're not going to have success, but those failures are what define you. And so we've got to do a good job of handling that, and both those young men will.
Just to kind of translate, Stump is Evan Howman. So he keeps referring to it as Stump. That's that's the nickname.
We got to the nickname, Stump. He loves it. His dad loves it.
Matt, this is kind of a unique show. It's our first show here in 2018. We got a lot to cover, obviously. We're talking about the early season. It's also kind of like a preseason show. I'm giving you an opportunity to speak to the fans and kind of, even though we've played 17 games, still preview some stuff and maybe a direct ability for them to hear straight from you. Talking to you in the offseason, you felt like this had a chance to be one of the better bullpens you've ever had. And I know you were really, really high on some young arms. You just mentioned a couple of those guys there just a moment ago, but maybe touch on that a little bit more about that bullpen and where you feel like it's at and some of those young guys that you expect to contribute early.
Right, yeah. In all honesty, this is the least number of arms we've had on a staff. Just the way some things have worked out for us, this is the very fewest arms we've ever gone into the season with. I think with 15 arms, maybe 16 arms, if I miscount a two-way guy. But we really feel like this is the most quality we've ever had. We really don't have any guy back there like, oh well, hey, we kind of need to get him an inning or two just to get some experience and kind of work some through. No, every guy we're running out there is a guy we're trying to put in a tight situation, a high-pressure situation, and we have confidence to have success in that situation. So I think that's the neat thing about this. If you look at early number stuff, we're doing a really good job of throwing strikes. It's the defense that needs to really be picked up. And then if the defense doesn't do it, then we need the arms to do it on the backside of the errors. It doesn't need to be compounded with making the error or walk, and then obviously give up the hit and the gap to score both of them. So we've got to do a better job of kind of buckling down some things. And Jared Biddy is one that's coming to mind repeatedly, who's competed extremely hard out of that bullpen and really been a nice bridge. That's what Coach Latham and I were actually talking about this morning. We've got a lot of bridge guys. We didn't expect to have this many bridge guys. Hey, man, your starter's going to be Jaconi and Josh Green and Mason Knopp and Jaconi, Carlisle Kessler. And back in, we'll probably have Peyton Lee and Evan Howman and maybe Will Warren or Schaefer. We'll have some mix-in pieces. But the Jason Eaneys and Jared Biddies here early in the season, Trey Schaefer and Will Warren have done a good job of kind of bridging the gap. If we have gotten in trouble in the 5th or 6th, they've got us into the 8th or 9th and obviously gotten us to Tassin or hopefully Howman. And like I said, Howman will get back to the situation. But it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag of junior college guys and freshmen, and really got a lot of high hopes for those 2 freshmen and Will Warren and Trey Schaefer, because I'll tell you what, those young men have not acted like freshmen here early in the season, and I hope they continue to do what they've done so far.
Matt, it's been well documented, the statistics the last few years. You're aggressive coach offensively, your game plan, the way you want to do things. I know that it's, all green, no red. I mean, I don't know the exact phrase.
Stuck on green.
Stuck on green. On green. Or I've seen other people say, all gas, no brakes. But y'all are certainly stuck on green. I know you had an opportunity this year earlier to speak at a national coaches convention about your base running strategy. You've been number 1 in stolen bases for the majority of the early season here. I think you just got passed up by 1 or 2, so you're number 2 right now in the nation. But you've always been in the top 10, it seems like, the last few years. Talk a little bit about that philosophy and just how this group is bought in, because they have, we mentioned it, a lot of new guys that are having to execute this early, and it seems like they're picking it up.
Yeah, from the stolen bases part, they're doing a good job of understanding the identity in it. That I don't have to call it. All I need to do is teach it, and when they feel comfortable run, they can go. And we've got a few more what I feel like green light guys where I can say, hey, man, you pick the pitch and you go. I'm not having to actually give the steal sign and say, hey, I need you to go this pitch or this pitch or this pitch. Hey, when you're ready to go, you feel like you got it 100%, take it. And I think we've done a really good job at this point. I think what's neat about this is a lot of guys have thrown left-handers at us trying to slow us down. Hey, we're going to pick, and we're going to pick, and we're going to pick. Because if you go first move, we're going to pick you off, and we'll throw the guy out at second base. Our guys have done a really good job on some guys tipping the way they go on the plate or whether they're picking. And a lot of these bags have been off left-handers, which is not very traditional. We faced Rice a few years ago in a regional. They threw the left-hander in the first game of the regional just to pick, so we couldn't run and slow us down. And these guys have done a really, really good job of figuring out how to do it and in the right moment to do it. And they need to continue to do that part of it. I think offensively we got to get more aggressive on fastballs. I think hitting-wise, we're not where we want to be, and obviously we've got some guys that aren't quite going the way they will go by the end of the season. And also in what Schwarner's doing, he's going to go for us, and that's going to be a big pickup for us. You see Drew Avens here in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, big time, man. And and it's the same thing with Schwarner. He's going to come. He's going to go by the end of the year, and when we're clicking on all cylinders, it's got a chance to be a really, really scary offense because we've got the power, we feel like, in the middle of the order with Schwarner and Schimpf and Avens and Steckler. We got guys who can also run in Schwarner and Steckler and Avens, and you got the guys at the top of the order with BB and Gross that can really run as well. So, I think the biggest thing we've got to really figure out, if you want to talk about the biggest question mark moving forward, is defensively exactly what we do. There's some guys that are still trying to solidify some roles every day defensively. I need to have the offensive guy and the defensive guy.
Yeah.
I don't need to have just a defensive guy out there. I don't need to have just an offensive guy out there and trying to make moves, because when you get to what people don't know probably is when you get to conference play, there's a 27-man roster. There's no more 35-man. So where in these non-conference games I'm getting to get some guys in and get some opportunities. When I get to conference, my hands are tied. I lose 8 guys when I get to conference play, and that was kind of the way this weekend. Hey, man, you're going to have to stay in there and play defense, or, hey, you're going to have to stay in there and give me some good at-bats. And those guys are going to have to start relying a little bit more on themselves on what their weakness has been to this point. So I think some of that we have to really figure out is defensively. What exactly we want to do in the outfield? We've been spoiled out there with Ryan Byers and Jacob Seward.
Yeah, some good athletes.
Obviously Drew, yep. And so we got some new guys like Mike, who's swinging the bat extremely well. There's some things he's got to get better on defensively. Steckler, who's starting to swing the bat, who needs to get better defensively for us, and also you get the veteran and Drew out there. And don't be surprised to see Trey Schaefer run out there a little bit, man, because defensively, he's one of the best ones we've got, and he can really run down some balls. I mean, it's very similar to Jacob Seward out there. Offensively, I don't know if he's quite ready to make that jump yet, but if he can just give us some type of productivity offensively, he's going to start getting some more opportunities there. It's one of those catch-22s. We haven't thrown Drew to this point yet.
I know.
And he's one of our best bullpen arms we've got. It's so hard to do because you don't want to take your best outfielder out, who's also your 3-hole. Now you're going to pitch him. It's a chess match sometimes. And the same thing with Schaefer. He's been so good for us on the mound to this point. I don't want to lose that bullet in the bullpen that we can have that could possibly finish off a game for us.
All right, we got to get to a break. When we come back, we're going to have a lot more for you. We're already halfway home right here on the Matt Reiser Radio Show, presented by North Oak Health System and Buddy's Barn Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom.
And being engaged with service.
Family.
Passion.
Integrity.
Overcoming adversity.
Hard work and dedication.
Bettering people around you.
Striving for excellence.
Leadership and competition.
On our campuses.
And in our communities.
We are Southland Strong.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools for nearly 500,000 student athletes. College sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
All right, welcome back here. As we've got about 25 minutes to go here on our show. We're live from Buddy's Bar and Grill. I'm Alan Waddell. This is the Matt Riser Radio Show, the first edition here in 2018. Thank you so much for joining us wherever you may be tonight on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network. I want to thank all the affiliates that certainly get our show on the air each and every week. Lions are off to an 11-6 start. Already have wins this year over LSU, ULL, also Tulane. Just took 2 out of 3 this past weekend against UNO to open up the Southland Conference season. Yet we're already in conference play. Lions will take on Lamar this weekend. Also a couple of big midweek games. Tomorrow night, the Purdue Boilermakers out of the Big Ten will be in Hammond to take on the Lions at the Pat. And then Wednesday night, Lions go over to Mississippi. Actually, the first time this year the Lions will leave the state. They go over to Biloxi, and they're going to take on Mississippi State at the Biloxi Shuckers Field right there across from the Beau Rivage. So certainly some big games on tap this week for your Lions. We're going to get to those games in just a few minutes. We'll get Matt to touch on all of those. But, Matt, let's kind of walk through these last few games. You know, the last ones that are in recent memory for us. Certainly we've touched on some of the games early in the year. Right. We've talked about some of the new guys this year, catching us up on all that's going on inside of your program. But let's take a look at the last couple of weeks, really. This is I think the second, maybe the third year in a row that you've played in one of these regional style tournaments in the regular season. I know you like doing that. You did it this year at LSU with Toledo and Sacred Heart and the Tigers.
Yeah, really enjoy it. You know, it helps us kind of get a preseason run through on a regional format where you got to prepare for multiple teams. Coach Latham's got to prepare multiple reports. Yeah. We got to do multiple game plans, you know, because one might be an offensive club, one might be able to pitch it, one might be grill a ball, and one might want to run the bases. So it's a different scheme that you got to set up, and we always like the setting. You know, it wasn't again here another year where we didn't do this by design. You know, last year we did it with ULL and Hofstra and Murray State. That was done because the ULL stadium wasn't ready yet. This one actually was a weekend we were supposed to have La Tech at La Tech, and they had to move the year because they were invited to the Frisco Challenge up there.
Because somebody dropped out late.
Yeah. So La Tech was able to go up there and do that Frisco, the tournament tournament up there. And Ron Holloway, if you're listening, I would be more than happy to go up there and play in that tournament. That was a heck of a tournament, man.
Yeah.
They had a good showing up there. But so, I called Paul up and said, hey, man, look, here's the deal. We've got this budgeted. This is pretty much really late for us. We don't have a whole lot of options here. Any way we can get in. And Paul was obviously generous enough to let us in the tournament there. And again, like you said, we've played regionals 3 of the last 4 years there. There's still the aura of being in the box. We played Sacred Heart there Friday, and I'm watching some of our new guys take pictures of the stadium, that kind of stuff. And hey, we're here to play. Let's go. We've
been here before.
Yeah, the returners have. The returners been there many times, and they know what they expect. But some of the new guys, I get it. It's a $20-something million stadium, and you walk in on the big video board. But hey, let's go play. Now it's time to go play and go do our deal. So it was good to get that out the way. So now when I'll see if we do make the regionals, I think there's no doubt in my mind we'll get sent back to Baton Rouge. I think that's obvious, unless it's us, ULL, Tulane, La Tech, maybe by some crazy design, they sent us the Mississippi State or something. But no, it was good. I like that setting. I like the atmosphere of it. I like the venue of it. And it's something that we'll continue to hopefully continue to do for years forward. We've got some favorites out there tournament-wise. We really enjoyed the Pensacola tournament last year. It's an easy trip for our fans. It's a great setting, great ballpark. So hopefully maybe we can get back in something like that here sometime soon.
Matt, let's talk quickly about the game on Wednesday that you played against Tulane. Certainly kind of a sloppy game, but certainly you won the game. It all turned out the way you wanted it to. You won the game. You got on top, you fell behind, you came back, you let them back in the game with a couple of plays, but ultimately you were able to figure out a way to get a victory, and that's 3 in a row against the Green Wave.
Yeah, 5 in a row.
Oh.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
Hey, come on, man. I'm gonna know
I thought I
stat.
saw 3 in a row. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. 5 in a row.
I'm going to make sure you on that one. With Tulane, it was one of those games. I actually text Coach Jones after. I said that might be the ugliest win I've had in the history of my coaching career, my young coaching career. But it was. It's one of those deals. Our guys, that's the good sign about this club so far. They don't feel like they're ever out of a ball game. They feel like they can always come back and find a way to get back and scratch back and put themselves in a position at the end of the ball game to hopefully win a ball game. And they're competitive, man. And when you have that recipe, you have a lot of recipe there for success, because when you start putting things together like your defense, you start doing some things differently offensively. You pitch a little bit better when you're starting pitching. All of a sudden, 11-6 turns into 14-3 maybe, you know. And so for the next 17 games, if that starts to click on all cylinders, now you're putting yourself in a really good position to have some success late in ball games, and that's what championship ball clubs do. I mean, if you look at college baseball all over the country, there's a lot of parity in college baseball. You'll see NC State beat Wagner. Who's Wagner? I don't know about Wagner baseball. They'll beat them 3-2, but they won the one-run game. The one arm they ran out there after them, pitched really well. And this is the sport. If you got the right guy on the mound, man, you could be in a tight ball game and the wrong bounce, the wrong call, go one way. You could win or lose it. So I think that's the good part about this here early. We've been in a lot of those situations here early that'll have us a chance to have some success. But always good to beat the Green Wave, especially there at Tulane. 5
in a row. 5 in a row for the Lions against the Tulane Green Wave, and certainly got it done. We'll play another game here later on in the year as they come. They'll return the trip here to the Pat and play in Hammond. You started conference play already. You played UNO. Certainly a tough draw right out of the box. Coach Dean's done a good job down there with the Privateers.
Yes, yep.
I want you to talk quickly. I know we're up against the clock. We got to get to another break, but I want you to talk quickly about, first of all, changing the format this year. Seems like every time you play them, it's been Friday here, Sunday here, and then Saturday on the road. First 2 were supposed to be here. You were supposed to go on Sunday to UNO. That didn't happen because of the weather, and you ended up playing 2 on Saturday. But talk about the format change and then overall thoughts of the series.
Yeah, well, it worked out just like we envisioned, because some reason every time we play UNO, it rains. We lost our senior day a few years ago to it. Had to do a doubleheader. We had some rain situation 2 years ago as well. So it's one of those deals that we looked at it. If we go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, hey, we look like we can get rain on Saturday. We go ahead and do a double on Friday, and we've got our 2 home games. We come back to you on Sunday. If for some reason there is going to be rain on Sunday and we can't go to your place, we have the home game, right? If you go to the conference layout, it's our home series this year. It's UNO's home series next year, and we try to do it from a travel standpoint, budget standpoint, to help us where we don't have to go and stay in New Orleans, with game times, have to travel on we had daylight savings time. So you can only imagine if they try to travel over and then travel back on Sunday for a 1 o'clock game, how late it would have been for them. So it's a format we felt like we can manipulate a little bit better. And so when we run into a situation like Sunday, where we knew we had a 90% chance of rain, the odds of getting getting the game in was very slim. Hey, let's go ahead and do a doubleheader on Saturday. We'll make sure all 3 games are in. We're the home team. Now we're not losing 2 games to you on the road on Saturday, because in the old format, if we looked at it, our home series would have been played 2 at UNO, which would not have been the right way to do it. So it works out a little bit easier. And, hey, nothing like little Louisiana.
You're going to do it like
night.
that with Nichols as well?
We are. And we're going to continue, I think, this trend moving forward. Since we did have all 3 games at home this year, we agreed to go all 3 games at UNO next year. So that will be the one thing we'll have to throw in there, monkey wrench.
I was kind of teasing Damon as well. The one time we played a 6 o'clock first pitch on Saturday night, because some people have asked me, why don't we play Saturday night games?
Yep.
Played 6 o'clock, and then you end up having to play a doubleheader. So it ended up being a late night, but the late night at the ballpark.
It was a very late night. It was just like, you get the turf in the first game that's supposed to be played on turf, you get rained out.
Exactly.
So that's the way it works.
Lions took 2 out of 3 from UNO this past weekend as they start the conference season 2-1. They'll be back in action in conference play this weekend over on the road at Beaumont as they're going to take on the Lamar Cardinals. But a couple of big midweek games between that. Let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll get Coach's thoughts on the schedule this week, and we'll wrap it up here on the Matt Rogers Radio Show on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
What does it mean to be Southland strong?
It's not just big wins.
It's success in the classroom.
And being engaged with service.
Family.
Passion.
Integrity.
Overcoming adversity.
Hard work and dedication.
Bettering people around you.
Striving for excellence.
Leadership and competition.
On our campuses.
And in our communities.
We are Southland Strong.
Across divisions, sports, championships, and schools, for nearly 500,000 student athletes, college sports create lifelong opportunity, and that starts with education. We've raised the academic bar, so more are earning degrees, creating healthier campuses by working with the nation's brightest minds, and making sure more have the chance to succeed and are supported on their journey. But beyond the numbers, it's about opportunity, and we're working to provide it for every student athlete.
All right, welcome back here to the Matt Rogers Radio Show. It's our first edition here in 2018. I'm Alan Waddell. We are live at Buddy's Bar and Grill. They got the steaks grilling. They got the bar open.
I know. I can't wait. I smell it.
Me and Coach were just talking about it. Hey, we're going to get us a big steak right after this show. So certainly, if you're in the area, come stop by and join us.
Town, baby.
No doubt about it. As Matt, let's talk about it. You're 11-6 overall. We've covered a lot here in these first 45 minutes of the show. Really catching us up on everything that's been going on inside your program. And I'll ask you before we get to talking about this weekend a little bit, or this week with the slate of games. You got 5 games coming up this week. I'll ask you, you're 11-6. You're 2-1 in the conference. where's your team at? I mean, you look at the schedule and you say, hey, you know what? We could possibly be 14-3, 15-2, but then you look at some of the games and maybe you could be 500. So, so you kind of are where you are right now. Talk about where you think your team is at the moment.
Yeah, like we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, from a valuation standpoint, if we're trying to break some things down, and I gave guys individual, hey man, grade yourself, A through F, where you at? If I'm grading this club to this point in time, I say it's a B club right now. With what we've played and what we've had, and some things that have gone our way and some things that haven't gone our way, at this point in time where we're at, the one thing that I'm really, really encouraged about is last week we won 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah.
And we sat there this morning, in our staff meeting. We do staff meetings Monday mornings, and we're like disappointed.
Yeah.
And I said that's pretty good. I said if that's where we're at with expectations, and not only are we disappointed as a staff, but we went out to practice. The guys were like ready and hungry to get after it because they were disappointed how they performed last week. So if you do that when you played UNO, right, who's traditionally been a good ball club in our conference the last 2 years, who knocked us out of the tournament last year. You look at Tulane, who's traditionally obviously a good program, and a Toledo club who can really swing the bat. When you go through all of that in a 5-game week, you win 4 out of 5. You go, well, that's really encouraging. So, like I said, there's some things we feel like we got to get cleaned up, no doubt. But the competitiveness is there, the willingness to go out and work is there. If we continue to stay selfless in our work and continue to stay team oriented, then I think the club has a chance to really, really thrive. And I told you how excited I was about this club. From a talent standpoint, I feel like we're more talented than we were last year. Now it's just being able to put it all together and perform at that level.
I'm looking over at Damon Sunday. He's in the house for the moment. Damon, are we undefeated in the midweek? I think we're undefeated in midweek games so far through the young year. So no pressure or anything. Yeah. But the reason I'm bringing that up is a couple of big midweek games this week. Yep. Tuesday night, tomorrow night, you're going to take on Purdue. The Boilermakers come to town, and one thing I think that y'all have done a really good job of getting these teams from up north to come up here is kind of piggyback other series they're in. Yep. Purdue was in town this past week taking on Tulane. Yep. They stick around. They're going to take on you tomorrow night at the Pat. I think it's packed the Pat there, so they're going to try to get a big crowd there. It's, again, been great attendance so far early this year. We've had really good weather. That's one thing that's really helped out. It's been unseasonably warm here for February and early March, but a good opponent coming in here tomorrow, the Boilermakers of Purdue will come to the Pat.
Yeah, they come in at 9-4, man, and a club that can really swing. I think they're hitting over 300. They've got a guy in their order that's got 6 homers already that's hitting over 400 as well. And it's an aggressive style of offense. I think that's the neat part about it. It's going to be a very Sam Houston State-like club. They've got some big arms out of the bullpen. Got a few starters that are on the weekend. There's some big arms for them. Also, we won't see them tomorrow in the midweek matchup. But it is their first midweek game. So they've been playing this 4-game set on the weekends and some tournament-style stuff, very similar to how we did some things earlier in the season. But so one of those weekend guys will move to tomorrow. They don't know really where they want to go with it because they also got Nichols on Wednesday as well. But it should be an interesting game, and it's the alma mater of Drew Brees. So if anything, Saints fans, come on out. And,
who's going to pitch for you?
Support. We're going with Mason Canop.
Okay.
Yeah, we like Mason with the matchup. I think he does a really good job of controlling some things. He hasn't the numbers, if you go look at numbers, and this is where numbers can get skewed a little bit here early in the season, you go, oh, man, he hasn't pitched very well. He's pitching a 5-something ERA. He's giving up 21 hits. He's going to give up hits. He pounds the zone, but very rarely does he get hit hard. We got to make a few more plays behind him. We've had a few balls drop in. He's had some misfortune stuff happen, but you know what he's done the best job of? He's handled it really, really well. And so when you go forward, you feel very, very comfortable about him being on the mound tomorrow night.
Second year in a row, you're going to go and play a game at the Shuckers Park over in Biloxi. Last year it was Southern Miss. This year it's Mississippi State. The Bulldogs coming to this game ranked 19th in the country. They got off to a little bit of a slow start this year. They had obviously some adversity with their coach.
Had a rough weekend, an opening weekend.
It certainly did, and but they've figured it out here of late, and this is a talented club and a top 25 club, another top 25 club that you're going to face here early in 2018 on Wednesday night in a grand showcase. And I'm sure with State coming to town, the Lions coming to town, it ought to be a packed house.
Yep, they've won 10 of their last 13 ball games. They had a clean sweep last week in the Shriners Classic. With I think them and Kentucky both went undefeated. Had a really good showing over there as well. And it's going to be a good ball club, man. It's a club that has some kids that we recruited as well. I think we're actually actually probably going to face him in the midweek matchup. A kid that's out of the Mississippi JUCO system, out of the MAC Jack, which we heavily recruit. And it's an offense that's got some veterans in there, and a guy like Jake Mangum who can really roam center field, man, and really sets the tone there at the top of the order. So should be a fun matchup. We're excited about the opportunity. And also, these kids have shown for Mississippi State that they're very strong-willed to go through what they went through opening weekend and to come back and win 10 of the last 13 after getting swept at Southern Miss and all the adversity going on around the program. Boy, you talk about some tough kids, man, to pick it up and go roll up their sleeves and get some things done. They've done a good job at this point.
Matt, you've played a majority of your games here early this year at home. You've played a lot of, like I've said, Wednesday night will actually be the first time you leave the state of Louisiana, so it's been a lot of close games in proximity to Hammond, even when you did go on the road. This weekend at Lamar, a 3-game set against the Cardinals. Certainly this is really a rivalry series. It has been for a long time as with the Lions and Lamar, and this really starts 5 consecutive games on the road. So you're 2-1. I'm getting six consecutive games on the road.
Oh,
yeah, I guess because you consider Mississippi State on the road. I was figuring that a neutral site game, Damon. But so 6 games in a row on the road, and Lamar this weekend. Talk about that series a little bit.
Lamar's a good bunch, man. I tell you, Coach Mahmoud's done a fantastic job with his schedule. You sit there, pull it up, and look at it. And also, you talk about the home games. Being at home this early, I think, was big for us and getting the energy right in our stadium. But Lamar's gonna have a good club. Can really, really pitch it. The record doesn't reflect what they are to this point. They've struggled a little bit offensively, but they got some returners, very similar to we do, that haven't performed to the same level they have in years past. Who will eventually at some point in time go. Hopefully, our guys do a good job of keeping them down this next weekend. But it's a weekend series where we're going to have to play clean baseball, man, because there's going to be some tight ball games. We're going to have to make the big plays in the big moments and have to execute some things offensively, because I think right now as a staff they're pitching right at a 3 ERA. With some starters who have gone deep in ball games with really, really low walk numbers and high strikeout numbers and low hit numbers. And so anytime you do that, obviously you're going to put yourself in a situation to play some tight ball games. But the good thing is we've been battle tested at this point. So going on the road in Beaumont, it'll be a good weekend for us, good challenge for us. I know they got swept by Sam Houston opening weekend, and Will Davis always tells me, boy, he really got the luck of the draw there with Sam Houston and the Lions, 2 first weekends. Go ahead and get them out the way early. But we'll do a good job of going over there and taking care of business on the road. And this is what I'm kind of interested to see. It'll be our first road trip. How do we handle the road? There's some things last year. Early we did well with the road, and late not so well. It'll be really interesting to see us and how our guys handle some things and being in an actual overnight trip. We've done the midweek trip there to Tulane and gone on the road, but to be able to go on a weekend and spend the weekend in Texas, I'm excited about seeing the guys and that opportunity.
So once again, the schedule this week, tomorrow night, the Lions will host the Purdue Boilermakers out of the Big Ten. That'll be a Pack the Pat event. It's first pitch at 6 o'clock. There will be no radio because Lion basketball will play in the NIT tomorrow night, but you can catch both.
Yeah,
come to the game at 6, watch the Lions, and then go home and watch the Lions basketball on television on ESPNU. On Wednesday night, Southeastern will take their show over to Biloxi, right across from the Beau Rivage, the Shuckers Field, and they're going to take on number 19 Mississippi State. That is first pitch, 6:30, and you can listen to Damon Sunday. He'll have the call for that one. And then on the weekend, the Lions will play 6 o'clock Friday night at Lamar, 2 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. As Matt, we've jammed a lot in this first hour here of 2018 being together. It's been a lot of fun being with you. You have a couple of minutes left to go here in our show. We had some questions come in tonight. I'll tell you, Matt, since I've sat here with you last year, we've added so many things to our coaches show. Colton Vickers now does the Facebook broadcast, and we've picked up some more affiliates. We're getting a lot more questions on social media. We will get to some of those next week. Again, we're really up against the clock here. But Matt, I want to get you kind of your final thoughts of the night. You're 11-6 overall, and you have a big 5-game slate this week. It starts tomorrow night against Purdue.
Yeah, it's one of those deals. We just got to keep competing. I'm really excited about the opportunity this week to see us, again, put ourselves in a road situation. Go on the road for the next 6 games after tomorrow night. I'd like to handle business there at the Pat and have a nice little send-off before we come back the next 2 weeks. And it's going to be a situation where, again, some guys are going to have some opportunities. I'm excited about seeing some of those guys in that situation and have success in that situation. We talk about it all the time. There's only 9 guys that can be on the field. but you don't know when your number's going to be called. But when your number is called, I'm putting you in that situation, that opportunity, because I believe you can have success for us and make us go. So I'm excited to see some of those guys to be able to do that. And also get a little bit more into this conference schedule. I mean, we talk about it every year. You know, Sam swept the weekend this past weekend. McNeese, you know, you saw where they weren't doing very well non-conference, but they come out this past weekend, take 2 out of 3 from Central Arc. You know, they're going to be up there as well. It's one of those deals that as the guys go along in the weeks to come, they understand in order for us to win a championship, we're going to have to sweep weekends. We're going to have good weekends. We're going to have bad weekends. And the bad weekends, we can't get swept. And we've got to do a good job of understanding how vital, how important every single game is. So I'm excited to see that bunch do that. I'm excited to see that bunch buy into it because, again, I think it's a club that's extremely talented. It's obviously the right competitiveness. I think we've got the right pieces in place to do some things and to make this thing grow because, again, expectations have grown for us. Expectations have grown as a coaching staff, obviously as individuals, as the players. Expectations have grown from the fan base. You know, they're a little bit harder on the guys now because, hey, they expect this and this out of them, and that's good, and they should because these guys can handle it, and the right guys will recruit this program to have success.
Well, there you have it. We're completely out of time. Those that are listening, those that are watching here tonight, they all know that we have one of the best baseball coaches in the entire country, so you'll have an opportunity to hear from Matt each and every Monday night right here on our program from 7 to 8 o'clock live from Buddy's Bar and Grill. That's going to do it for us. For Coach Matt Roser, I'm Alan Waddell. We'll see you next time on the Matt Roser Radio Show presented by North Oaks Health System and Buddy's Bar and Grill on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network.
Broadcasts on the Southeastern Sports Radio Network are a product of Lion Sport Properties. For more information on how you can support future broadcasts, Lion Sport Properties is available by phone at area code 985-549-2570.